All right, Coach, we're going to get started with Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports.
Hey, Monty, just curious on your overall thoughts on the game.
We lost a tough game to a good opponent. They shot the heck out of the ball. We were a little tired, but they got off to a really good start, and we fought like heck until, I pulled the plug. But that's the deal. It's not anything real deep about tonight. We just played our butts off and played hard. We couldn't make shots when they presented themselves. They did to start the game, and tip your hat to them. I felt like our guys were tired, but they executed and knocked down shots when they needed to. It seemed like all night long.
With the simplicity of the factors that you're mentioning, is this one of those games that's pretty easy to just flush and move on from?
Well, you can still learn from some things that we did. There were times where they just dove and got dunks at the rim or buckets in the paint. And I thought our pick and roll defense was a step slow tonight on the backside. But the season has been long. It's been a tough schedule, a lot of back-to-backs traveling out east. That's always hard, but you can always learn from a loss.
Excuse me. Next up is Craig Fouie with ABC 15, and then Dwayne Rankin.
Hey, Monty, you mentioned it. I mean, the back-to-back last night in Cleveland, going to overtime and then traveling to Atlanta. I mean, how difficult is that when you're playing a game like that last night and turn right around against this team?
I mean, it's not a recipe for a lot of energy, I can tell you that. But our guys still showed resiliency. They wanted to play even when I took the starters out at the end of the game. But you're right. I mean, we played an emotional game last night, went into overtime, had to travel. When I feel it in the morning, the next morning, I always think to myself, I wonder how the players feel. And so it's part of the season. It builds character. It gets you ready for the next step. And nobody's going to be 100% going forward. We're trying to do our best to manage legs and give off days. But again, I'm proud of this group, the way we compete. In any situation, our guys want to play. And I'm really proud of that.
Next up is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic, and then Chris Kirschner.
Coach, you talked about the defense in terms of, the pick and roll and things of that nature. When you go back and look at the film and show the guys, is that something that, like, is one of the top two priorities right off the bat? Hey, look, this right here, when we're playing this kind of size that Atlanta has, that can be tightened up. I get the circumstances, but is that something that'll be addressed?
Yeah, we always do. I mean, there's always teaching clips and improvement clips we look at every single day. Our guys look forward to it. So that's not anything new for us. We're always learning, whether it's a win or a loss. Last night, we were able to get some clips from the game in those end of game situations. And we talked about that today. We'll do the same thing tonight on the way back to Phoenix to get our guys ready for the next game. You're always in pound the rock mode if you're in a Phoenix Suns uniform. So that's nothing new for us.
And you talked about the schedule. Doesn't get any easier. You got New York coming in a couple of days. Not even going to say what's down the road because you already know that, but just that immediate turnaround. And then you got to face the Knicks in a couple of days.
Well, it doesn't get any easier for our opponents either.
Okay.
And that's the way we look at it. They got to play against the Phoenix Suns. And I put my money on our team every day. I love my team. I love the guys in our locker room. Yes, we've been dealt a tough schedule, but everybody has been dealt a tough schedule. And our guys will be ready to play in the next game.
Next is Chris Kirschner with The Athletic, and then Cameron Cox.
And Monty, what do you feel like makes this Hawks team such a dangerous team to play?
Well, the shooting for sure. They have a lot of guys who can knock down shots, but not just three-point shots. I mean, they have, between Bogdanovich and Trey, two guys that can get into the paint and make shots, can create off the dribble. But Capella has been huge for them. He gives you, he generates offense diving, and he gets extra possessions. And then his defense covers up a lot of the mistakes that the guards can make. And then Gallinari, he's a versatile scorer. So they're deep. They look like a playoff team. They look like they're getting into playoff shape. And I don't think many teams want to play them if they're going to continue to shoot the ball like that, especially in the first round.
Final 3 questions here. Next is Cameron Cox with 12 News, and then Gina Mizell.
Monty, you mentioned that you're feeling it. I mean, what is the feeling at this point in the year compared to years past? Are you more tired? Or you find yourself worrying more? Like, what's the difference between this point and other seasons you've been involved in?
No, I just meant the back-to-back. That's the only deal. I don't know if I've had many seasons where you travel east and have this many back-to-backs in your eastern road trips. So that can pile up on you. We got in here last night about 2:00 and had a meeting today at 12, and our guys have to get up and test 3 hours before the meeting. So the testing part is a bit different than years past. Our guys are used to back-to-backs. We're used to travel, but you throw in the testing and it kind of messes with your sleep patterns a little bit. It's not an excuse because everybody's dealing with the same thing, but it certainly hurts you on a back-to-back.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Final question is Gina Mizell.
Hey, Monty, you mentioned just that even in a game like this, still the resilience and the compete level is high for your team. So just how tough is it for you as a coach to kind of to pull the starters when you did, just when you know that that's the case, but you also know the other side of, hey, rest your legs, let's do the right thing for the overall part of the season, I suppose.
Yeah, it's hard. My second go around as a head coach, I've become a little more wiser. Before I'd play it out to the last few seconds of the game. But we had younger teams than with this particular group, and the minutes that guys have logged. I think Mikal was 40 plus last night. Book is, a high 30, sometimes 40 guy. I got to be careful with their legs. And it's hard because you want to win, not just the game, you want to win the quarter, you want to win the possession, but I have to be aware of, what we're trying to do and manage legs as best I can.
All right, Book, first question is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic.
Yeah, Devin, obviously, coming off second of a back-to-back in the overtime, just how would you assess tonight's game?
It was tough. You could have any excuse in the world, but they play some good basketball, and I don't think we were ready for it to start. They came out hitting a lot of shots. We were hitting a lot of shots, and you don't want to play back and forth with the team that had 2 days of rest when we're coming off back-to-back.
Quick follow, Devin. Just ask Coach about the schedule not getting any easier, and Coach's response, well, it doesn't get easier for our opponents either because they have to play us. What's it like to have a coach with that kind of mentality that he can look at it one way, but he's seeing it in a whole different way that's empowering you guys?
That's our approach. That's the approach that we've had all season, is that teams gonna have to deal with us and we're focused on ourselves. So it's been pretty good for us so far. And yeah, like you said, we're looking forward to these matchups. We're looking forward to playing any team. We're not ducking any competition.
Next is Craig Fouie with ABC 15, and then Chris Kirschner.
Hey, Devin, I asked Coach this earlier, and you guys just mentioned it, just about the overtime game, the emotional game last night in Cleveland. Then you come in. Coach said you got in at 2 a.m., had to get up early this morning to test, and then had meetings. I mean, how tough is that really on your body and physically?
It depends. It varies from person to person. I'm young and blessed, to be in this situation. I'm 24 years old. So, I kind of look past it and don't try to think about it. Because me personally, I think it's more mental than anything. But, the season's a grind, 72 games this year. and it can build up. You know, we're coming down that final stretch. But I think this is the most important stretch for us to be playing, you know, high level basketball. So, you know, you have to put the excuses aside.
Next is Chris Kirschner with The Athletic, followed by Kellen Olson.
Hey, Devin, what do you think makes this Hawks team such a challenge to play?
I mean, they have a lot of players out there. They space the floor well. They have dynamic rollers that are, you know, in great spacing, and they have shooters and they have playmakers. So, you know, that's a recipe for a really good team. And, you know, they've been playing really well of late. And, you know, I'm sure they have the same mindset as us, you know, trying to get it going, you know, before postseason starts.
Next is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports, and then Gina Mizell.
Hey, Book, you guys have done a great job this year of controlling games from the jump, but this was one where you guys actually had to chase it throughout. Can this be served as a good reminder of how important the start is for you guys?
Yeah, you know, we've talked as a team about that, you know, we're going to get teams best, you know, being one of the top teams in the NBA record-wise right now, you know, and teams being desperate for, you know, playoff position and things of that matter. So, you know, we know we're going to get, you know, we know we get teams best all the way through. So, you know, throwing the first punch, being the aggressor, I think is important for us.
Next is Gina Mizell with Suns.com, and then Cameron Cox.
Hey, Book, your last answer might have sort of answered this question too, but just when you look at the totality of the 3 games on this trip, the OKC game, the crazy overtime last night, and this game, just maybe what are the biggest takeaways that you feel like can help through these last, 6-7 games?
Just what I said. You know, we're gonna get teams best, and you know we have to be ready for that every night. But I think it's good for us. You know, going across these challenges and, you know, taking this road trip. But it's time for us to get back west. I'm still on the road, a lot of games, but, you know, we know what it takes. And I'm excited about the rest of the season.
Final question is Cameron Cox with 12 News.
Book, how much do you look at the standings now and, you know, where you guys at? Do you do it nightly or after every game or, you know, the next day? How much do you follow along what's going on around you guys in the West?
I mean, I check it daily, to be honest, but, you know, just seeing what's going on, I think, you know, it's so close and so many teams are so bunched up that, you know, it's kind of hard to predict anything, especially with the play-in coming. So, you know, we should have to sit back, worry about ourselves. But, you know, obviously something that, you know, I watch daily, that I've been watching daily, even when, you know, we were the last team in the NBA. So, you know, it's something I pay attention to.